All right, notes number 22. Let's go ahead and set up our notebook. During the video, you ladies and gentlemen, can go ahead and pause the video, forward the video, or rewind if needed. You're gonna be copying and trying out 4 practice problems in your notebook. So I'll be doing the examples, and you ladies and gentlemen will be trying out the practice problems. So example 1. So these are considered piecewise functions, and piecewise functions, basically what they are, they're pieces of an equation, and usually these numbers here represent which values are part of that function. Okay, so those values that I highlighted, x is less than or equal to -2, -2 is less than x less than or equal to 3, and x is greater than 3, usually represent what x values are part of that equation. So for example, we're going to start off with f of -4. F of -4, this one right here, where does it fall? Is it less than or equal to -2? Is it between -2 and 3? Is it greater than 3? Okay, in this case, it is actually -4 actually falls in the first function because it's less than -2. Because it falls there, I will be using this function here. So I have function of -4 is equal to 2 times -4 plus 8. Function of -4 equals -8 plus 8, and function of -4 is equal to 0. For the next one, we have f of 6. F of 6 happens to be here because it's greater than 3. So we're going to be using the function square root of x plus 3. So I have function of 6 is equal to the square root of 6 plus 3. So function of 6 is equal to square root of 9, and function of 6 is equal to 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Next one, we have f of -2. F of -2 is part of this function because it can equal -2. If you notice, this one right here doesn't have the equal sign, therefore it's not part of that function. So I have, and again, I'll be using this function once again. So I have f of -2, it is equal to 2 times -2 plus 8. Function of -2 is equal to -4 plus 8, and function of -2 is equal to 4. Last but not least, I have f of 0. F of 0, and if you notice, f of 0 falls in this category, which is between -2 and 3. Therefore, I'll be using this function. So I have f of 0 is equal to 0 squared minus 3. F of 0 is equal to 0 minus 3. F of 0 is equal to -3. And that is my solution. So go ahead and try practice number 1. If you need to pause the video, you're more than welcome. I'm just going to continue to example number 2. So let's go to example 2. Again, once again, we have 3 functions. Let me highlight them. First one is 2x to the third power minus 1. And then the second function we have is f of x is equal to just 3. And this one's the easiest one, but it's also one that's going to confuse you. And f of x equals the absolute value of x minus 2. All right, so the interval for the first one is x is less than 1. The interval for the second one is -1 and between -1 and 5, including 1 but excluding 5. And then the last one, any number that is equal to or greater than 5. So the first one, we have f of 8, and this number is greater than 5. Therefore, I'll be using the absolute value of x minus 2. So I have f of 8 is equal to the absolute value of 8 minus 2. F of 8 is equal to the absolute value of 6. And f of 8 is equal to 6. Now I'll be using f of 0. And for f of 0, that falls between 1 and 5. So I have f of 0 is equal to 3. And if you notice, that's this one. F of 0 is equal to 3. So I'm done because there's nothing to do on the right hand side. Okay. Next one we have f of 4. F of 4 once again falls between 1 and 5. So I have f of 4 is equal to 3. There's nothing to work out here. So I am done with this one. And last but not least, we have f of 5. F of 5 falls under the green one because only the green one can equal 5. The one in blue, it excludes 5. So I have f of 5 is equal to the absolute value of 5 minus 2. F of 5 equals the absolute value of 3. F of 5 is equal to 3. All right, so go ahead and try practice problem number 2. Just like I said before, I'm just going to continue on to the next example. All right, example 3. This time we're given a graph, okay? And I'll highlight each segment, so I'm sure the highlighting helps, makes it easier to reference. So the first segment, I'll highlight it in orange. Second one, I'm going to use red. And last but not least, I'll use green. Just as a reminder, anytime we have an open circle, that means it excludes that number. Anytime we have a closed circle, that means it includes that number. Okay, and then this inside number, inside the parentheses, represents your x value for all of them. Oops, sorry about that. So if you notice the first one, we go to x value of 2 and go straight down. It touches right here. What is my y value? Well, that is going to be 2 comma -1. That means that f of 2 is equal to -1. Next one, I am going to go to 3, -3, my x value of -3. So I'm just going to go straight up. And again, I go to the second point because the first one is open, so it does not include it. Only the closed circle is included. So that one is -3 comma 2.5. So that means that this x, when I have the x value of -3, my y value is 2.5. Okay, next one, I have -1, so I go to -1, and if I go straight up, it doesn't touch any point. That point is not included because it's an open circle, so I'm gonna put NA. Okay, and if I go straight down, same thing, does not touch that point. All right, now I'm going to go to -4. And so I have my x value of -4. I go straight up and it touches there. That coordinate is -4 comma 2. That means that f of -4, that's my x value, equals +2. All right, let's go on to the one. So try out practice number 3 on this box right here. If you need to pause so you can try it, you can pause the video, but I'm moving on to example now number 4. Example 4, same thing, looking at the graphs once again. So we're going to start off by highlighting them. First linear graph, I'm doing red. Second line segment, I'm doing green. And then last but not least, doing it orange. Okay, so f of 0. So f of 0, again, that is my x value. And that's right here, the center, right? If I go straight up, that's where it touches. And that point is 0, 2. That means that f of 0 is equal to 2. Now we're going to this x value of -4. So go to -4 and go up, touches my graph there, and that is -4 comma 1. That means that f of -4 is equal to 1. Next one, we have f of -1. It's here. I'll go straight down, and that's where it touches my point. And again, that's my x value. And at that point, they intersect at -1 comma -2. That means that f of -1 is equal to -2. All right. Last example, we have 3, right? So go to my x value of 3, go up, touches my graph there, and that is 3, 3. That means that f of 3 is equal to 3 because, again, that was my x value. So now I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to try this one. Again, if you need to pause the video, you're more than welcome to pause it, try it. And then for the next practice problem, I would like you to actually solve it. But the way you're going to solve it is I want you to try graphing this piecewise function using Desmos. Right? And then once you're done with the video, make sure you ask the substitute of Ms. Vega or Ms. Mora for a printout of handout 22. Handout 22 is placed in the back of the classroom by the pencil sharpener.